Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's been a little while because we had kind of like our end of year slash holiday break, but it's good to see everybody. I hope you can hear me okay, and I hope you've been doing well. How have you been these past few weeks? Yeah, it's been a busy few weeks just in general for a lot of us, I'm sure. I know it certainly has been for me, and then you throw in all of the BTS news and things, and we've been even more busy. So, um, yeah, it's been quite a month. I hope you all had a good holiday season. I hope you all had a good end to 2025. Um, and I hope that the beginning of 2026 has been good for you so far. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Thank you. Don't feed the bears. I'm glad you can hear me. I apologize for any like clacking in the background. It's been a little while since I've done one of these, so I'm like I have a cough drop in my mouth just to like make sure I don't start coughing because it's been a while since I've had a good opportunity to just like talk for 2 straight hours. And we have so much to discuss today, so I'm like gotta make sure my throat's good. I figure we'll wait. Just my start time was 12 noon here on the East Coast, so it is that now. But I figure I'll wait just a few minutes just to see if anybody else kind of wanders in to join us. Um, so yeah, so we'll just kind of just chill for a little bit. Metaloop, so much stuff. And, I feel like we've only really just scratched the surface. I've only really just scratched the surface because, we don't have a ton of info yet. It's amazing how much we were able to kind of start theorizing and thinking about just a logo and a title. But, we don't even have like a track list or anything for the new album. But we're having a lot of fun with what we have so far. So there's definitely a lot to discuss, even though we're drawing from kind of a small pool of things, but still so much. So I'm really really excited to talk about everything with you all, and to kind of see where our discussions go, because it's so much stuff. There's so much stuff that we can dig into today, both about the new album and not about the new album. So I'm really looking forward to it. Hello, okay, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. I hope you have been having a good few weeks since last we did a live stream. Oh, okay, I'm glad that you get to stick around for a while. That makes me very happy. And yes, don't feed the bears. Yeah, it's been an interesting week and a half, 2 weeks. I wasn't expecting things to happen like quite so quickly. I mean, it's literally just been like 2 weeks, and it's been crazy. It's just been like every day. Metaloop, I think the important thing is that we are like exercising our minds. I think you always walk a fine line when you are like theorizing about anything. because you don't want to turn into, like, have your theories turn into this wild mass guessing. But I think the great thing about theorizing about BTS stuff is, like, theorizing is always in bounds, and as long as you know, like, hey, my theory might not be accurate, you know, there's still a lot that you can do with it. There's analysis that I saw a very long time ago, and I don't remember like what the theory was called or who put it forth, but it's basically, it was like, if you imagine a Venn diagram where one circle is like, they were talking about it more with like literature and media, but I think it works for BTS too. And it's like the Venn diagram of what the artist intended, and then the other circle of the Venn diagram is like what people interpret. The middle section of that Venn diagram then becomes like this whole other layer of meaning that even if like the artist didn't intend that meaning, you know, you as the person experiencing the media kind of create this whole other layer just through your interpretation. So I think that's really cool. And I think BTS's music is so good for that because, you know, we all bring different things to the table. And so different things mean, you know, they kind of light up certain things in us, which I'm really excited to talk about too with the concept of the album, because I think it's so open to interpretation. And I think so many of us bring like so many different, you know, stories and backgrounds and feelings towards the words associated with this concept. And I'm like really looking forward to digging into that with everybody and hearing everybody else's thoughts, because I know what that has awakened in me and what that has made me think of and want to talk about. So I'm really curious to see how my thoughts overlap with everybody's and how my thoughts are maybe unique. It makes me wonder, yeah, AK. I don't know if like the album is just gonna kind of be like if you go on Big Hit's website and you look at the discography section, they have that logo that, you know, has kind of become famous or infamous in our fandom if you've been theorizing about it for days like we have on Discord. You know, we know that logo very well. It haunts us. So I don't know if it's just gonna be, you know, like that's gonna be the album cover, or if there's going to be something else, because we know that they're also going to be like doing vinyl releases that are different colors for each of the members, and I've seen some analysis about that and those colors as well. So I don't know if, you know, the main album's just going to be the logo, and then the solo versions are going to be different colors, or if we're going to get like a whole other logo or something, you know. We've been seeing a lot of red, white, and black, so definitely would not surprise me if we were getting those colors in the overall and, you know, album look as well. Right? It's a lot. It has been so much stuff. So actually, to that end, let me just jump right in. And you know, there's a lot that I want to discuss today because I was already intending this to kind of be like my let's kick off 2026 live. Let's talk about some stuff that we want to do on the channel. And then just like there just kept being more news, more news, more news. So this live kind of ballooned up a little bit from just like, hey, let's catch up on what we missed and talk about 2026. It's gotten so much bigger. So let's jump right in. So to start, let's do some housekeeping. This is just, you know, like my usual housekeeping for the channel. I'm still working on the series that I've been doing for each of the individual members, you know, to welcome them back from the military. Do you guys remember when I used to make videos on this channel? Do you remember when this used to be a YouTube channel that posted videos? Because I don't. But I do hope that the next video will be coming very, very soon. I'm hoping for this week. If time allows. So, but other than this week, you know, very soon is my best guess, but fingers crossed. And then my next live stream, I'm hoping will be early February, possibly February 1st, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. Hello, Javine. I'm very glad to see you. Thank you for being here. But as for what we're going to talk about today, today's agenda is going to be catching up on some of the smaller BTS related stuff that happened in between, when we last did a live and now, and then catching up on the big stuff, and then also any plans that I have for the channel and your suggestions and ideas for that. So lots of stuff to discuss. Javine, yeah, I think I'm still in shock a little bit in terms of ticket preparations for next week. I've been trying to sort of, like, I'm not even gonna lie, when they made the tour announcement last week, I was literally just expecting dates, locations, and venues, and I was like, oh, that'll be nice, I'll have an idea of where I'm gonna try and get tickets for. I wasn't expecting them to be like, oh yeah, by the way, tickets are gonna be on sale in like a week and 3 days. And like legitimately, I was like walking around my house for like half an hour with my hands knotted in my hair going like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, because I just was not expecting. I mean, it makes sense because the tour is right around the corner, but still very stressful and crazy, which is another thing. I mean, I don't think I was kind of maybe expecting that the tour would kick off that soon, just because I was using the canceled Map of the Soul tour as like a barometer, because Map of the Soul 7 came out in February of 2020, and then their tour was already going to start in March in Korea. So I was like, oh, that would kind of make sense. But I don't think I was expecting it to be one stop in Korea, one stop in Japan, and then not only are they hitting the United States, but they are hitting the United States in the state where I live. And I was just like, that is overwhelming. I was not prepared to already have to be thinking about tickets like that. So, yeah, I feel you. The stress is, well, I don't think I'm going to sleep at all the night before ticket buying starts. Yeah, it's really wild to think that my home state is gonna be where the North American tour kicks off. Like, I'm shocked. I mean, I was hoping that maybe, because like Jin came to Tampa, and I was thinking that maybe they'd come to Tampa or even Miami, but I definitely was not expecting it to be literally their third stop on the whole tour and the first stop in North America. I'm just like, I would have thought California. Like, I really was thinking that they would go and kick the tour off maybe because they're going back to SoFi Stadium like they did for Permission to Dance in LA. And I was thinking, oh, yeah, if they kicked the tour off anywhere, it would probably be in California. But for it to be Tampa, I was like, I'm going to fall off of my chair. But yeah, so my recommendation for anybody, especially if this is like your first time doing ticketing, not only just like read the rules online and read the rules on like whatever the ticket purchasing platform is. Like for a lot of the stops here in the United States, the ticket purchasing platform is Ticketmaster, and Ticketmaster has like a lot of stuff on their website about this is how you do this and this and this and this. So definitely read those rules, closely, and watch different armies make videos about how to do ticket buying, and that's very, very helpful. Some people are doing like up-to-date videos that they're making right now, but even watching some older videos will help as well. Like if you watch people talk about their ticketing experiences for Jin's concert or Yoongi's concert or Sir J-Hope's concerts, like a lot of the process, it's still relevant. They're giving like good relevant information, like make sure your info's updated in Ticketmaster or whatever the platform would be, and like make sure you have your card, your whatever card you're using to pay for the tickets with, make sure you have it nearby because they'll probably ask you for like certain information off of your card. So just especially find like concert information that's relevant to your location, and then that'll really help. But yeah, I feel you. I'm stressed. But we'll get to that. We'll discuss the tour a little bit. I have, as you can see on this screen here, catching up on the big stuff. All of the stuff that we've gotten is definitely going to be a stop on this live stream today. Yes, I can imagine AK. I don't blame you. Yeah, but I'm crossing all of my fingers for everybody. I'm sending everybody good vibes beyond measure that day. Um, and also no, there's plenty of people who either can't go because the concerts aren't going to be anywhere near them, or just like financially, physically, mentally, they just can't go to a concert like that. And that's totally okay. And for anybody who's in that boat too, it obviously, it doesn't make you any less of an army. It doesn't invalidate your own army experience. And like, if you're feeling like a little bit down about that, that's valid too. That's actually something like we were discussing on our Discord server. People have shared like other people's analysis of just saying like, hey, it's okay if this doesn't like make you as excited as it makes other people. So it's like, I think our excitement and our maybe disappointment, I think all of those emotions are valid, and I think like we can have space for all of those. And just kind of, go through the process together, I think. Which is part of what I love about being able to have like a community like this and do live streams, is I just think that we can kind of, we can share that excitement, we can share that anxiety, that disappointment, that just like all of it is part of being ARMY, and I think, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I think that's something that I really love about this album concept so far, is just the ability to hold both like the like positive and negative emotions is such a weird turn of phrase, because it's like, what does negative emotion even mean? But for lack of a better way of phrasing it, positive and negative emotions, like being able to hold all of those together in the same space. And I just think that is so true to the experience of being an army. And so like, just, this is an interesting experience that we're all going through together, and I hope that we can all kind of support each other through the good and the bad. Javine, yeah, it's interesting because anybody who's done like the registration for the army pre-sale tickets, I don't know if it's the same for you guys in Europe, but when I did it for the ones here in the United States, or I should say North America, because I think it also gave me the option to select the ones in Mexico, like the one in Mexico City and the ones in Canada. But it made you pick three, and so it's just kind of like, well, it's going to be a long day. The tickets for Tampa start at 9 a.m. And then like the next city that I picked is like in the afternoon. So it's going to be a long day of seeing what can happen. I would love to go to both days for Tampa. So it's going to be wild. It's going to be a day. It's going to be a day. Alrighty, so let's catch up on the small stuff first, and then we can dive into all the big stuff with both feet. But I actually started making a lot of these slides well before we got any of these other announcements, and there was just like other fun, smaller stuff to catch up on. So this is the stuff that's happened since we've last been on live stream together. We've had a lot of fun things. We've had a ton of Weavers lives there for a while, especially like near the end of the year. It was just this blitz of Weavers lives. So we had gaming lives and lives that they did in the studio, lives that they did all together, lives they did separately, little subgroup lives. Of course, it was Taehyung's birthday, so it's like we got his birthday live and all of like the fun and silliness of like the members being in that. We also got Jin's concert movie. We got, around Christmas, we got a lovely new Christmas cover by Jungkook. We got the fun news that now Namjoon knows how to drive, so I guess that means I also need to learn how to drive, because I don't have a license or anything, so he said he's not a very good driver, but which I probably wouldn't be either, so but that was a fun and interesting development. We got a Weverse live from Yoongi for the first time in forever. And my personal favorite bit of news is we have the reveal of Bangtan kitties, that now both Yoongi and Hobie have cats now. And that makes me, as a cat lover myself, that makes me really happy. And so Yoongi's cat is Soltang, Sugar, or just Tang. And then I don't think we know the names of J-Hope's kitties yet, but I'm calling them the Hope kitties. So a lot of that was just like some fun and cute and exciting news that was happening since December before we got the big stuff. But lots of fun stuff going on. And I'm sure there's probably even stuff that I missed, like other little things happening on like Instagram or Twitter or like some of those other platforms, and different things like that. And everything was kind of happening so fast and furious there around the holidays that I'm sure some things just flew under the radar for me, but the big stuff, of course, though, is the stuff that we started to get near the beginning of this year. And just everything, like I said, kind of came really fast and furious there for a few weeks. But this is all of the stuff that we have surrounding the album, the tour, all of the things that have sent us into a frenzy. So I know that's the stuff that we probably are really going to be unpacking today. I admit I wasn't sure how much we wanted to dig into Arirang as a concept today. Because, I mean, there's still a lot that we don't know about the album. But, I thought at least we'd talk about the concept, because I was talking with some of you guys on my Discord server, and you all brought up really good points that with how fast things have been going, we are probably going to get like a ton more stuff going on. And, we'll probably get some reveals of different things. And so I did decide that, hey, let's have that conversation now, kind of about what we have so far, because then if other stuff starts to come our way, we're not kind of losing, we haven't lost the ability to talk about this, because things are moving so fast. So I'll try and keep up with what we have so far, and we can discuss these things together, which I'm really excited to do. But we've had an explosion of stuff that has just come at us the past few weeks. First with the reveal of the logo and the date that the album was coming out, and then of course those world tour dates like we were discussing, and we have not only do we have like a full year of concerts, but then they're even going to announce more in 2027, which honestly even makes me wonder if there's going to be another album in there. So that's a whole other thing too. There's just so much to analyze and sink our teeth into, and just we're gonna be very busy. It's gonna be a busy year. Hello, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I'm glad that you could make it. That's great. I'm glad that you've been listening while you've been driving, and I hope you had an okay day so far. We have a lot to discuss today, so it's gonna be a fun time, I think. And I'm really glad that to see everybody and to be back here after a few weeks. Thank you all so much for joining me on the first live stream of 2026. Very exciting. So, and it's honestly, it was just what, a few days ago that we got the title for Arirang, and I just think that's been really exciting, that we just kind of got all of this. Oh, looking at the BTS 2026 website. Ooh, let's see. I feel like I am. There's so much stuff now, just when you try and go online. There it is. Oh, I see what you mean. We were actually just talking about that logo idea. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay. I'm just checking to make sure that they didn't update anything else. Everything else looks about the same. Still says more to come on the tours. Okay, okay. Interesting. I don't think I can pop it into like our live chat or anything, but I'll throw it up on Discord for those of you who are on Discord, and for those of you who want to take a look and see for yourself. It's just on the 2026bts.com website. Whoops. Sorry, multitasking. Multitasking is very difficult. There we go. We're gonna have fun analyzing that, I'm sure, because I don't know what that's supposed to be. That is really interesting. Metaloop, yeah, I was kind of thinking that too. It has like this ghostly thing. I was also thinking it almost looks a little like butterflies, like very vaguely. I don't, or wisps of smoke. Like, I have no idea what that's supposed to be. I'll drop a link in chat as well. If anybody, those of you guys who are, kind of watching as well, rather than just listening, you can pull it up there and it'll be like the first thing you see on the main page. And it's also, if you select the album thing, it'll show you that as well. That's really interesting. See, this is a prime example of what I'm saying about like information coming so fast and furious. I mean, it's just like when you're not looking, boom, suddenly they do something like that, and it's just like, I didn't even know that had happened. But anyway, okay, so thank you, by the way, Hitchhiker Hobbit, for bringing that up so I could see that and share that with everybody. But that cover notwithstanding, I thought maybe we could talk about the logo that's been keeping everybody busy for a while. So if you're anything like me or all of us on Discord, you've gotten to know this logo, the three circles. We do have an explanation from BTS of what this logo is meant to represent. I'll quick jump down here. You can see the Hangul characters that it's supposed to represent, and those are supposed to be part of how Arirang is spelled out, and it was designed by JK. But I think there is a lot that is can be analyzed from it, because even though it's supposed to have that meaning of like, oh, it's the three Hangul characters, I think the way it's designed still has so many things that you can kind of wring out of it and squeeze out of it, even just beyond that like very straightforward explanation. And shout out to Metaloop, who shared this, a lot of this with me over on Discord. There's a lot of analysis right now about how this could potentially connect to the Korean flag, and how there's a lot of color symbolism, a lot of logo symbolism. Even the way their stage is set up for the tour itself reminds people a lot of the Korean flag, which I think does make a lot of sense with how Korean the concept of Arirang is. So I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing how any of these ideas kind of pan out. Oh yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit. When were you referring to that image on their website that you think you cracked it? I wish I had known about that sooner, because I would have put it on one of these screens so that we could see it together. But oh, why the two circles of the logo aren't the same? Yeah, we've been discussing that as well. I was wondering that, yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I was wondering that myself, like if you actually spell out the word Arirang in Korean, if it was supposed to kind of represent like the different way it would be written, like the different characters, like you just said. I honestly think that does make a lot of sense. I've also seen one of the theories that I kind of found compelling myself was that the first circle represents union, the second circle represents separation, and then the third circle represents reunion. And I think all of that is like very involved with the concept of Arirang, so it kind of makes sense to me that those would, be potential elements. The other thing that I personally found very interesting was the fact that they are expressed in circles. For Metaloop, were you referring to the logo, trying to do the logo? Yeah, I think so. I know some people have said, like you almost have to turn it sideways to see it. And I'm curious if it's just like a handwriting thing, because that would be interesting if it's just like depending on how you write. Because like the characters that I have on the screen on the actual screen that we're looking at now, those are like the way you would type it out on a keyboard. But obviously when regular people write, they don't always, like, their handwriting doesn't look that tidy, and that precise. So I'm wondering if maybe it's supposed to be kind of indicative of like how somebody would do the handwriting for it. Let me see something real quick. I want to see if I can get, so, whoops. Again, multitasking is hard for me. This is how, and it kind of went to two different lines, unfortunately. But that is how Arirang is spelled out in Korean. So I'm thinking that the second circle is supposed to just be the line, and then the second, the second circle, the last part of the word, is supposed to be kind of like the line. All I know about that is it's almost like it would be pronounced like ah, like, and so that little line and then the additional line, and so that's kind of what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking that maybe it's supposed to be a little bit abstracty, because I don't think it's necessarily supposed to, because if they were doing it like it looks exactly like how it's spelled, then we would have one circle with nothing in it, then we'd have a second circle with just one line, and then we'd have a third circle with a line, and then that extra little line. But because we don't have that, I think the logo's almost pulling double duty here. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's supposed to be a representation of those Hangul characters, but then that's why I'm kind of compelled by the idea of it being union, separation, and reunion, because I think it's maybe supposed to be part Hangul, part symbolism. Does that make any sense? I don't know if that explanation actually makes as much sense out loud as it does in my head, but I think it's almost like what would happen if you took these characters and you made them kind of symbolic rather than actual spelling. Yeah, thank you, AK. I think it's deliberately vague. And knowing BTS, they liked it because they knew that it would make us theorize. For me, I think one of the things that I like kind of find the most interesting is there were a lot of ways they could have expressed this idea, but the fact that they represented it in circles, I think is kind of interesting too, which again, that could just be like a style thing. It could have just looked better in circles. It could have just been that JK wanted to draw it in a circle. But for me, we've been talking a lot about circles and cycles of things. We've been talking about that as a potential theme for the album for a long time, even before we even got this logo. And so for me, I was actually reminded of a quote that is actually something that Namjoon said in the last episode of, I think it's Break the Silence. And I love this quote. I literally have it like on the sticky note app on my desktop so I can see it every day. And it's literally, it mentions cycles. And that quote is, "You gain some and you lose some, and that cycle continues. In that process, we were able to give and receive from one another things that the world wasn't able to show us. And even just for a moment, they accepted my worth. I think that's enough for me." And that just immediately put me in mind of everything that we talk about with cycles and circles and things that come back around of just, I liked the idea of you gain some and you lose some and the cycle continues. And I think that is very, very appropriate for the concept of Arirang as well, because so much of that process seems to also be cyclical in nature. And I've been really fascinated by that. So I kind of think the logo in that sense, I think perfectly represents kind of what they want to say with Arirang as a concept, as a word, as an album, as their feelings. And I was surprised to learn that some people don't like the logo, because I actually think the logo is really cool. I really like it. We've been having a lot of fun just, stretching our brains and trying to come up with what it could mean. Yeah, Metaloop, I think you're right. I think it's just a little bit hard to decipher, a little bit on purpose. BTS likes to keep us busy, keeps us out of trouble. Oh, and thank you, Hitchhiker Hobbit, for putting that up on our Discord server. I know we've been trying to kind of decipher it a bit. Like other people have done the same thing. We've all kind of been trying to look at it together. But I like what you put up there. I think it's really interesting. But I think that makes a lot of sense to have it literally just be the red part is that part, just. So we're thinking, AK, I think you're right. People don't like it because they can't tell what it is. But I liked what Hitchhiker Hobbit said, that the red part of the logo represents that, and then the white part of the logo represents these parts. Sorry for all the clicking and typing noises. And then the white part is that. So I think that's kind of interesting to imagine that. And in a way, it almost reminds me of like abstract art, where it's just like you have a concept that you're trying to express, but you're not expressing it in a straightforward manner, which kind of gives it, it makes it a little bit open to interpretation. And there is a little bit of difference in, what one person might say, what another person might say. Yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit, the fact that it's more of like a reflection, that is really interesting too. So that's an interesting thought too, Metaloop. And to me, maybe they were worried that the logo itself is just too, I don't know, like maybe because it wasn't an image of some kind that people felt like maybe it was too simple, because I mean, as well as I do, we've been breaking our brains for the past 2 weeks on this logo. So I would say, and this is the basis of my whole channel and my whole existence as an army theorist, is it's just like everything that seems simple is deeper. It goes as deep as you want it to, For me, like the red the red actually just reminded me of, it was when they released Map of the Soul 1, the online concert that they did back in 2020. And it's funny because everything associated with Map of the Soul 1 was red, white, and black. And so now that we have sort of like this red, white, black shades of gray thing going on for this album, it honestly is just taking me right back to Map of the Soul 1. Which makes me very happy because I love Map of the Soul and I love that concert. So I'm like, honestly, I would kind of be here for it if those colors are going to be predominant throughout like marketing and stuff. And I mean, I'm down for it personally. I think it's really cool. I can get like, I mean, for some people, red is just like way too harsh of a color. I totally get that, but I kind of like stylistically where that's going. It puts me in mind of some other things that have me really excited. So personally, I would love to dive in a little bit to Arirang as a concept, and I'm going to be leaning very heavily on other people's analysis for this because I'm not Korean, I don't speak Korean, so I don't have the same cultural context that a Korean person would have for this concept, but I'm really excited to be taken on that journey with BTS, and I'm really excited by the idea of how many things can be encapsulated in this word. And in some senses, I feel like, you know, we kind of all know what that's like. You know, we all kind of have indescribable emotions that are felt on like individual levels and societal levels. But I feel like in Korea and in the Korean language and culture, I feel like they really do it like better than anything or more unique than I've ever seen anything in my life. So I'm very fascinated by how that works within like Korea. And so I don't know if you guys have ever seen like word clouds, like when you generate a word cloud of like, oh, here's a thing or a concept or, you know, here's all the different words. And so I kind of wanted to create my own word cloud for what I've seen come up for Arirang, because on the face of it, the translation is just like, oh, the beloved one, the beautiful one. But as a song and as a concept, there are so many other things that have gone into this song. And I mean, there's even more words than just what I could fit on this screen. And that, I think, is what is so fascinating to me about this idea. As a concept, as an album title, as something that BTS are going to be digging into. And the more, I don't know about you guys, but the more I've sat with the idea of this being the album title, the more I've fallen in love with it. Like, I fall more in love with this concept every second. And it has me very, very excited. And I just, through my own research and through my own looking at things, I've seen all of these words associated with the concept and the song. And I think it's really interesting how a song can start off as just like a folk song about, you know, people who are in, you know, who love each other and then part. But through constant use of the song in different contexts and through different things in Korean history, the idea just keeps, you know, growing and growing and growing and growing, and then it starts to mean other things. Yes, Javine, I do highly recommend Hype Boy's video as well. There's actually going to be 3 videos that I'm working from a lot when I discuss this, and his is one of them. So definitely cannot recommend that video enough. But so from what I've seen for Arirang, you have a lot of like contradictory topics and concepts that go into one song, which I think is amazing. You know, so you do have things like loss and grief and separation and sorrow and hardship and heartache, but you also have love and triumph and joy and pride and endurance, you know, and it's a song that communicates all of these things because sometimes you're singing it together in a group, so it promotes like fellowship and connection and unity. But also other times throughout Korean history, it was used as a resistance song, you know, and other times it's about, when you sing it alone, it's about your own experiences, and when you sing it in a group, it's about everybody's collective experience. And I just think that's really beautiful. And all of the emotions that BTS has felt, all the emotions that we as ARMY have felt, all of the things that I'm sure we want to discuss or hear them discuss in their work, I feel like choosing kind of like a concept of indescribable emotion, but that means all of these different things at once, I think is like such a beautiful way of just like digging into everything, because it's like, I just don't feel like there's a word in English that could possibly communicate all of these things. And I think it's really amazing that there's a word in Korean and a song in Korean and a concept in Korean that can do that, because Arirang is a word and it's a song and it's a concept and it's like a shared history. And I just think that's amazing. I'm curious what maybe all of you thought when you saw that was going to be the title, and like what did it evoke in you, because I know it has been evoking so much in me, and just the more I learn about it and the more I see the symbols that are involved in it, the more excited I get, and the more it just kind of like sets me creatively on fire and gets my theorist brain going, and just it's beautiful, like, and I personally am such a huge fan of it. And it makes me very excited for what we're potentially getting with this album. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on kind of like what it lit up in you when you heard it, and as you've been, because I think we all have been like reaching for videos and definitions and things to help us understand if we ourselves are not Korean. And so I would love to hear your perspectives as well. Okay, yeah, that's really awesome. I that's I think what I find the most amazing about it, because again, I don't really feel like this is something that I have like in my country and my culture, to the best of my knowledge. But for it to be a song that has so many variations, like 3,600 variations, of this concept and this song is just really fascinating to me. Yes, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I loved that description too. In fact, I'm going to hop over to my next screen because I would like to read the full quote that High Boy said when he did his video about Arirang. And so his full quote is, Arirang is not a neutral word in Korean. In fact, it's one of the most emotionally loaded songs in Korean history, associated with separation, endurance, pride, and return. Love and distance, pride and pain, and belonging that is never simple. Arirang has always carried those contradictions, and BTS seem fully aware of that weight. And I just loved that description. And that is in High Boy's video called Why BTS Named Their New Album Arirang and Why It Matters, which is a video he did a few days ago. So it's still kind of near the top of his page. And I definitely recommend watching that, like Javine said, if you want to go deeper. Because that was, if you haven't already watched it, then I definitely recommend it. But that was such a good in-depth explanation for me. And he goes into talking about how the song is like part of Korea's like intangible cultural heritage, like it's like, an intangible important part. And I that is so cool to me. And just, hundreds of years, I mean, this song has been in Korea for longer than my entire country has existed. Like, it's like 600 years old, this song, and I just think that's amazing. As somebody who loves history and culture, that is just so fascinating to me. Yes, Hitchhiker Hobbit, I completely agree. And I think, like, knowing that they deliberately chose like a very Korean concept, like that is uniquely Korean to Korean identity, just makes me so happy. Like, and it's just, I remember saying a few live streams ago that whatever BTS does, I just want it to be authentic and genuinely BTS. And so the idea of this being the album that we're getting, obviously we don't know anything else about it yet. So, we have no idea what the songs are, what they sound like, or what they're about. But the notion, like this idea already has me excited. Yes, AK, you're so right. It's so like BTS to subvert everybody's expectations. And that's what I love about BTS and their music. And so I'm really hoping that we are getting exactly that. Yeah, Javine, I think it's entirely possible. And that actually, So the second video that I have shown here is actually an older explanation. It's from like 7 years ago from a channel called DKDK TV, and it's called Arirang in General Explained by a Korean. And he made this video, and he was using a performance that they did in 2016 in KCON in France, which you'll see is my last video here, the last video that I have shown. But so he was using that to explain like Arirang as a concept and as a song. And I really liked his description. And so about the song and the emotional concept in general, he said Arirang can be seen as the compilation of all Korean emotions in one word. But then about the performance that BTS specifically did, he said maybe BTS's specific Arirang performance is a message telling themselves that they shouldn't lose hope or themselves, or simply telling armies to not to leave their side. At the end, they're reminiscing the past and wishing for a happier and better future. And I think that is just as relevant now as it was then. And I do like the idea of like, don't lose hope, don't lose yourself, just all of that is very, very BTS, which is something that the members themselves have been saying a lot when they've been discussing this album. They've been saying, oh, it's very BTS, it's very us. And that's what I like to hear. I want to hear that this is a very BTS album, because that for me, I would just love that idea of, like you said, self-actualization, a little bit more map of the soul, a little bit more just, we know how much they've had to kind of like adjust and readjust over these past few years. And I'm very curious if this album is going to take us into that process with them, and if we're going to get to hear what some of that has been like. And I'm just very interested to see what we get. But if it's through this lens of all of these complicated emotions, if we're looking into all of these ideas of what Arirang means, that makes me very excited. I would love to see any of these emotions just expressed in their music. Right, Hitchhiker Hobbit? There's something about that performance that is just so grand. And I forget who said it. It might have been High Boy, saying that, because they were in, a European K-pop festival when they did that, and to kick it off with like such a Korean song, and such a song central to Korean identity was very cool as well. It's, it goes back to what you were saying about how like it's not something more westernized. It's bringing such an important part of Korean cultural identity into this festival. And I think that's really cool, because it shows that, Korean, like, it's not just like, I feel like K-pop is so easy to dismiss by some people in the West. It's just like, oh yeah, whatever. It's just like little, Korean boy band music, or, little girl pop music. And it's just like, that's not the case. Like, that's ignoring all of like the actual cultural and historical things that go into, just Korean media in general. And so I love that BTS and the other artists in that festival were saying, no, here's like an actual very Korean thing, something that's central to our identity. It's not just going to be K-pop and what you think K-pop is. It's going to be using K-pop as a vehicle to kind of drive Korean culture, which was really, really cool to me. And, listening to, like, watching videos like that DKDKTV, yeah, I can't say that guy's channel name, DKDKTV, like watching his video, something that I found really interesting about that was he was including other clips of like the actual folk song and like different variations of the folk song. And some of them are just like, so, you listen to them and it's so unlike anything I've heard before, and it speaks to you, like you said, Hitchhiker Hobbit. It's like something that you can't put into words, and I loved hearing some of those variations on the song, because you're just like, I don't know what that speaks to in me or what that awakens in me, considering it's not my culture or my background, but it speaks to something in me. Yes, Javian, I love that description. Yes, I think that is so accurate, and BTS and ARMY and the uniqueness of our bond, I think is something that is beautifully expressed in that idea. And I'm going to jump ahead in my slides just a quick smidge, because I think my thoughts what's jumped out to me the most about this concept is love, longing, emotion, and identity, and how all of that is expressed so uniquely through BTS and ARMY. So we'll get back to that in just a minute, because I have thoughts on that I do want to unpack. But I definitely would recommend, if you haven't seen these 3 particular videos, I mean, obviously the internet right now is popping off with videos describing this concept. So there's a lot out there to pull from. But these are great. These 3 in particular, High Boy's explanation, the older explanation that I have here, and then the performance itself that I have at the bottom. I definitely recommend all of those. The version that BTS did when they did KCON in France back in 2016, it's an amazing version. And then, like Hitchhiker Hobbit said, the other artists coming in at the end is great too. But I love that, like, BTS wrote their own kind of like their own version, their own lyrics, to kind of make it like their own Arirang. And their lyrics are so, not only were they relevant to BTS back then, but they're so relevant to BTS today. To the point where, like, I don't think they would do this, but I kind of almost wish that they would re-release that version as, like, the album's intro or something. It's great. I highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out or haven't checked it out in a while, because it has a whole new context now. Hello, thank you for being here. I'm so glad you could make it. I hope you've been well. Right, Hitchhiker Hobbit? Me too. Like, I've been listening to it a little obsessively, I'm not gonna lie. Because it's really good. Like, I mean, it's great even without the new album context. It's fantastic, but when you add in, like, the idea of the new album context, I was actually listening to it last night while I was, like, finishing up some of these slides and stuff, and I'm just like, y'all, I'm obsessed with this song, and, like, it actually gets me a little bit emotional, thinking about it and the concept of the album, and just, like, knowing that this concept is going to be so, like, there's so much in this concept I want to unpack and talk about. I'm just like, man, this kind of is getting me emotional. I know, Hitchhiker Hobbit, I honestly really want it. I'm trying not to, like, get my hopes too high up, but I'm just like, man, I'd really like for it to be on there. Ooh, AK, yeah, I like that idea. If that was a hidden track, that would be fun. That would be a really good hidden track, because it's just great. I would love to hear them do a version, or like a 2016 version, like, would be so good. I would be so happy. Because it's just such a gem. I mean, I would love to have more of it. So the other definition of Arirang that I wanted to share, and this is also in Hybe Boy's video. So if you've watched Hybe Boy's video, you've definitely heard this already. But I just wanted to read it out for you all, because it just really jumped out at me when I was listening to his explanation of the concept. And this actually comes from the UNESCO Korean National Commission's website, as per Hybe Boy's video. So, quote, one of Korea's most representative folk songs as a cultural creation shaped collectively by ordinary people over many generations throughout Korean history. The song encompasses a wide range of themes shared across humanity. One of Arirang's greatest strengths lies in its respect for human creativity, freedom of expression, and empathy. Anyone can create new lyrics, and through this process, Arirang continues to expand. So I have a couple things like highlighted in bold here that really jumped out at me. So one of the things that, like, collectively by ordinary people, that phrase just really spoke to me, because I feel like, especially when you can, consider the idea of, like, anybody can sort of contribute to this as a concept, I just thought that fit BTS and ARMY really well. Just, like, the idea of, like, the communication between BTS and ARMY, and, like, the idea that they chose a concept and a song to represent their album that is collectively shaped by ordinary people doing ordinary things. And, like, I have more thoughts about that, but I just loved that description. I likewise have more thoughts about the idea of themes shared across humanity, because, again, I think that's perfectly descriptive of what we as BTS and ARMY express together. And then respect for human creativity, freedom of expression, and empathy. are such BTS themes. Like, that is so BTS right there to me. And then I just love the idea of this being like an ever expanding concept. Again, that is just so unique, and I love that. Oh, yes, that would be a great encore song. You guys are so right. I would love to hear that as an encore in the concerts. And you know what it kind of reminded me of? I don't know if you all remember this. It was a video that was released back around when COVID was still going on. Let me see where it was. I have it saved. So it's on the YouTube channel Visit Seoul TV, and it was, like I said, it was around COVID. So you know that it was when like Korea was experiencing a lot of, downturn in tourism because, obviously COVID, and they were hoping to get people to come back. And, we're kind of trying to explore the resilience of Korea and of the Korean people. And the video is called Your Soul Goes On, spelled like Seoul the city. And the repeated chant that they use in this video is Ogiongcha, which they explain at the beginning of the video is like an expression that's shouted in unison to like hype each other up and give each other strength. And it's like this very cool thing that BTS and all these other people throughout Korea are doing. And so as I've been looking at Arirang and learning about what that is, I immediately thought of like the Ogiongchang video, which is really, really cool. And I would definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a while. This is how you spell it, so that way you can put it into the search bar. Ogiongcha. Really, really cool. And it just reminded me a lot of just like this concept and the cool video that BTS did a few years back. Also, yes, I like that description. It's like the opposite of AI. It's just something that's made by people and continues to expand because of the human touch and human creativity and expression and empathy. Like, that's a really good description. I know, AK, right? Those, I haven't seen them in a long time, but like immediately thought of them when I started researching this concept, and I'm like, I love that video. Like, I want to watch it again now and just keep watching it because it's awesome. Yes, organic. That is such a great way of describing it. I love the idea of this is something that like organically blossomed throughout Korean history and culture, and now BTS are using it to describe what I'm assuming is also a very organic and true to themselves process. So I love it. Like I said, the more I think about it, the more I fall in love with this as a concept and as an album title, and just like I just want to dive into it. I'm in love. I'm in love with it. So let me dive into some of my own thoughts, and then we can talk about all of our thoughts together. So like I said, love, longing, emotion, and identity really jumped out to me in this, because not only are these very BTS concepts, but I think they are concepts that are not always portrayed as these are universal concepts that maybe aren't portrayed as universally as they should be. But BTS always knows how to portray these things in a way that just like a lot of other society and cultural things don't do a good job of portraying. So for me, like for instance, love, and it's funny because Namjoon was just talking about love in his beautiful letter that he wrote on Weverse the other day. And his letter began with, "Love continues to be a complicated word for me. Have I ever, even just once, actually loved someone? I have held on to that question for so long, and all I've grown sure of is the fact that I still don't know." And for me, that's why I then have like the little purple heart there, because it just reminds me of the love between BTS and ARMY. And there's so much love in the world that isn't easily described. A lot of people try to separate love into more easily described boxes, and a lot of like culture and things, try and focus more on like romantic love, And with BTS and ARMY, it's like this beautiful platonic love. And there's so many other forms of love that I think this concept can dive into. And so I would be really excited to maybe see like what is the love that isn't often portrayed. I think would be very cool. Wait, really? Hitchhiker Hobbit? I don't want to. I won't do that now because I don't want to like play it and like mess with my audio. But oh, I see. I literally, so I just jumped into that tab and like my computer is muted, but it's showing me that the tab is playing audio. So yeah, so that's really interesting. I will definitely check that out when I'm done with the stream, and we'll see what that is, because that's really cool. Oh yeah, it keeps showing me that it's playing audio. Stop playing audio. I'll come back to you later. But that's really cool. I love that. Sorry, now I'm having a moment. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Distracting me. Yes, that's just catching up on the chat. That's something else that I think is really interesting, that both North and South Korea both honor this song and both like consider this like a song that is a shared cultural thing for both sides. That's another element that's just so fascinating for me. No Hitchhiker Hobbit, no apology necessary. You're okay. And I'm assuming it's the 2026bts.com website that we were looking at before, because like I said, that's the tab that keeps playing audio. Oop. I am a mess today. I keep hitting things. There we go. I will pin, that's the website. I will pin that to the chat so you can see it. So there's so much stuff going on, you guys. I don't even know, like my brain is going to just turn to mush before we even get the album, because there's just so much going on. All right, so anyway, so just the other thing that I've heard a lot described in relation to Arirang as a concept is the idea of longing. And I don't know about you guys, but I immediately went to Spring Day. And for me, I think part of the whole reason why we're getting a lot of descriptions of spring and talk about spring is, of course, because the album is coming out in spring, and we've known that for a while, and it's specifically coming out on the spring equinox. So I know that's the reason why they're talking about spring so much, but it just keeps bringing me back to Spring Day, to the point where I even joked on Discord that like, hey, are we getting Spring Day part 2? Like, because they just keep mentioning spring so much. But talking about longing always makes me think of Spring Day. And it always makes me think of Han, which is another thing that I saw associated a lot with the concept of Arirang. And so I was actually even like on the website for the Encyclopedia Britannica, and their description of this song is: the song is also associated with the concept of Han, a culturally specific term referring to a deep sense of sorrow and endurance shaped by Korea's 20th century experiences of colonial rule and civil conflict. And if you watched my Why Spring Day Endures video, I talk about Han in that video, and how that's another like kind of indescribable Korean concept that I find really interesting. And that I think kind of, it's interesting that it goes hand in hand with Arirang as well, because there's just something about Han and the idea of it being like pain and grief and sorrow, and it's a sense of like like injustice, because you can't have it fixed for you, and you just have to sit with that feeling and learn how to live with it until you can eventually let it go. And so I just, the idea of these indescribable emotions and the role that they play in BTS's work is really, really interesting to me. And then, of course, the idea of identity. And I think that not only works for the fact that this is a very Korean album, and this is gonna like very much be BTS communicating how Korean they are and like accepting their Korean identity, but for me, it reminds me a little bit of something that I said plugging another video in my Dionysus video, where I talked about how there's a lot of stuff in Dionysus as a song that combines like very Korean elements, like Korean folk music, like onheya, and like the instrument of the kwengari, and like there's a lot of things that are very Korean in that song, even though it's like this really high energy, high concept song about a Greek god. You know, it's like this really cool mix of just like ordinary, regular Korean folk music that, you know, like the ordinary folks would have, and then like the Greek god. And I love that mix that BTS is able to do of just like, even when they're doing really big performances or really high concepts, it's always rooted in this idea of their Koreanness and their accessibility. And that goes back to the definition on the previous page of how this is collectively shaped by ordinary people. This is collectively shaped by, you know, just like everyday folks, and not by, you know, something more lofty. And I think that's really, really cool. Just like you guys said, that the sort of like the opposite of AI, that organicness, that grassrootsness. And I love that idea. And I think that's such a beautiful concept to come back with after, you know, a long hiatus. And those are my thoughts about, I think, what I'm most excited about and what I most hope to see explored in this album concept, out of those many, many complicated words and thoughts. But yeah, so those are my thoughts about what I hope to see, what it reminds me of, what it gets me excited for. There's so much to unpack, and I'm very, very excited about it. And I can't wait to be able to keep talking about it with all of you as well. I can't wait to dive into all of our collective thoughts. And then last but not least, these are some things that I couldn't really put anywhere within the different slides that I made today, but these are just some things that have been shared with me on Discord. The one on the left shared with me by Metaloop, the one on the right shared with me by Hitchhiker Hobbit. I'll do the one on the right first, just because that is kind of still related to Arirang and what we're talking about with like spring and things like that. And it's Korea's national flower. And what's highlighted here is eternal blossom that never fades, which kind of also reminded me of this line in BTS's Arirang back in 2016, which is, look at me like you've seen a flower in winter, which would be an eternal, you know, an eternally blooming flower that never fades. So I kind of I liked that idea. I've seen a lot of people say that the color of the individual albums kind of matches the color of this flower. And so that was really interesting as well. So I wanted to include that, even though I didn't have anywhere else to put it. I thought that was really, really cool. And then Metaloop shared with me an article from the magazine Elle, and I really liked this description. And I think this description came out before we had like the album name or anything like that, but I think it's even more relevant now. And so what they said on Elle was, what makes BTS's return so powerful is not just their legacy, it's their consistency in choosing meaning over noise. Over the years, BTS have created music that held hands with listeners through loneliness, self-doubt, joy, anger, and healing. They taught a generation that it's okay to feel deeply, to question, to grow, to love yourself loudly and quietly all at once. And like I said, that article came out before we had an album title, and now reading that again, knowing that our album title is going to be Arirang, it makes it even more special to me. And I've been thinking about the phrase choosing meaning over noise for weeks now. And I feel like that's definitely what we're going to get is meaning over noise. And I'm very excited about that fact. Well, I love that description of spring too. I really like that. Just like new beginnings and renewal. Man, I just keep going back to Spring Day. I just keep thinking about Spring Day so much. I mean, we even just have had recent Spring Day performances because like JK and Jin did it at J-Hope's concert, and then Jin did it at his concerts. It's just like we've been getting so much of Spring Day, and it's I don't know. It's really interesting to me to keep thinking about that concept in relation to this new album. I don't know. Like I'm clowning, I know, but it's really interesting. So that is In terms of talking about Arirang, that's everything that I have today. Like I said, I know that there's going to be so much more that we can analyze as we get closer to the comeback, so I'm sure we'll have more thoughts on this. But that's everything that I wanted to share with you all today on that. I would like to still, like, my next part 3 of this live is going to be talking about, like, the channel a little bit, my plans for 2026 and getting y'all's input in that. So I definitely do want to dive in to that for, like, our last probably, like, 45-ish minutes. But before we dive into that, was there anything else that you all wanted to say about Arirang as a concept, as an album, about, like, anything you found in your research? If there's anything else that you wanted to talk about, let me know. Yes, that was really interesting too. That was, I think, both in High Boy's video, and then somebody also shared it on my Discord server that there were 7 Koreans that recorded like a version of Arirang in 1896 here in the United States, and like that to me is one of those like wild little like, wow, history doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme type of moments, especially in relation to BTS. Just those moments where you're like, I think even the universe is army, even the fabric of the universe. I agree, AK. I'm thinking. So, just my personal opinion is I think we might get a pre release track. I have nothing to back that up other than my own sincere hope that we get a pre release track. And I'm thinking at some point we'll also get like a track list. I don't remember. So, like, because I became ARMY like right before Map of the Soul 7 came out and I wasn't super aware of it, I don't remember if there was a track release, like a track list release before that album, because I was unaware of it. So oh, that's even more of like a weird universal coincidence. 130 years ago, like 13, the fabric of the universe is purple. You heard it here first. That's true, AK. Yeah, I feel like this has been a very unusual promotion, for this, and so I guess we'll see. I know right now, kind of like the next major hurdle to get through is, of course, like the ticket process. And then maybe after the dust clears with that, maybe we'll get more information on the album. I don't know. All I know is like right now, I'm just kind of holding on for dear life because, like I said earlier in the stream, we've just been getting things so fast and furious, just like coming at us so quickly. That I'm just like, I'm honestly, I wake up in the morning and I'm just prepared for anything. I'm like, okay, anything? What happened now? What else is BTS doing? I mean, like, I think they're just kind of teaching us right now to expect the unexpected. At the very least, when it comes to the thing with spring, at the very least, I think they might use it as like a theme. Because they've used spring lyrically even in ways that aren't spring day. Like, of course, there's the line in like "We Are Bulletproof, the Eternal" that is like, did spring really come after the harsh winter and things like that. So there's definitely other instances in which they've used winter and spring, as a concept beyond just spring day. But I'm just like, spring day. Hitchhiker Hobbit, I know, me too. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with myself. I'm so scared. I'm so nervous, man. I don't even know. Like, words do not express. I've already basically told, like, all of my coworkers saw that BTS was gonna be in Tampa, and like that day I kept getting texts from people like, I'm sure you know, but like, did you see BTS is gonna be in Tampa? Are you getting tickets? I'm like, it's not that simple, y'all. It's not that simple, guys. But I've already told everybody that I'm not to be bothered that day, that it's like basically like the entire day is just going to be panicking and ticket buying. It's gonna be the whole day. And it makes me think of when I got tickets to see Jin. And I know I told you guys this in a previous live stream, but I was sitting here waiting for the ticket queue to open and like watching, as like Ticketmaster gets you further and further into the ticket queue. And my heart was beating so fast that my smartwatch was literally registering it as aerobic exercise. Like, my Fitbit was like, hey, you did a workout. I'm like, no, I was just sitting here with my heart beating out of my chest because I was so nervous. Yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit, like, just it, take the ticket process is just like such a mess, and I know people have complained about that when it comes to like other artists and stuff too, of just like how messy it is to try and get tickets, and it is so true. It's such a nightmare. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people online say claim that energy of like just like, yes, you're going to see BTS, claim the energy. And it's like, for me, I don't want to jinx anything. I'm not like a superstitious person, but when it comes to that stuff, I'm like, nope, not gonna risk it. Like, cross all my fingers. But yeah, so it's like I want to claim the energy of like, yes, of course I'm going. I will figure it out, but I'm like so scared to do so. I'm so scared. But yes, like we'll all manifesting for everybody. We got this. AK, yes. So I know we've talked about that a lot on this channel and in previous lives as well, of just the idea of like, we were promised a follow-up for Most Beautiful Moment in Life. We were told that we were actually told that project would happen for its 10th anniversary, which was last year. So we're actually almost approaching the 11th anniversary of like the beginning of HYYH. So I'm not sure. I would like to think that we'll have some HYYH and BU related things in this album, but we'll see. Hitchhiker Hobbit, if you do, that's valid. It's valid. Or you just have to you can use Korean swear words, and I think that's okay. Or just like look up, some alternate swear words. As a fan of Battlestar Galactica, my family is very fond of the word frack, so that could be an alternate. I know. I think my Discord server is going to be jumping that day. I think we're all just going to be there in the trenches, providing emotional support and excitement and commiseration and tears, and it's going to be a busy day, you guys. I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for it. I don't think I am. I can't even. All right, so I know this all probably is going to seem a little anticlimactic after talking about Arirang and all of the information that we've gotten over like the past, 2-ish weeks or whatever. But this is my first live broadcast of 2026, and I definitely wanted to kind of go over some stuff with you all. And since it is the first broadcast of 2026, also a very happy new year to everybody. 18 days late, but because this is the first time we're getting to share this with each other, I think we'll go through some stuff that I have planned for the channel and kind of see where what I'm planning and maybe get some of your input. So we'll definitely do that as well before we end for today. So like I said, probably like another like maybe a little over half an hour, probably more like 45 minutes. Hitchhiker Hobbit, yeah, I remember when I got my tickets for Jin, I was just so relieved. I didn't like scream or anything because I was just so relieved. I was like, I got him, yes, yes. But when I got my tickets for PTDLA, I did scream. I did scream. I think, it's valid. I think there's going to be a lot of screaming all over the world. So we are absolutely allowed to scream and cry that day. No judgment here. This is a judgment-free zone. Alrighty, so let me jump into it with what's yet to come for me in 2026 and maybe get some of your thoughts and ideas on some of my upcoming concepts. Because I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions. So you can definitely help me out with deciding some things. Oh no, got tickets for Jin but had to sell it. Oh, that is so sad. That is very sad. I'm sorry to hear that. This time though, I'm confident that I believe in you. We got this. Oh, hi Bomac. It's good to see you. No worries about not commenting. I'm glad you're here. I hope you've been enjoying the discussion. And thanks for saying hi. And that's a good note as well. Like I said, I would love everybody's input on what's to come for the channel. So if you're listening to this now and you can't comment, or you're listening to it later when it's up on the channel as like just a video to listen to, please also feel free to leave me your comments in the comment section of the video. Because like I said, I would just really value everybody's input in this. So yeah, so if you're listening to this later, leave me a comment. So like I said, a little anticlimactic after everything we've gotten for the past 2 weeks, I grant you, but my 2026 plans are definitely going to be more of the same, more videos, more live streams, more Discord fun. And I would also love to do some other things. So that's some of what I want to get your opinion on, is what things would you like to see me do? One of those things is definitely going to be something that I've mentioned in other live streams, is the idea of a book club. And so I would love your guys' opinions on how we can do book club. Like, I'd love to hear your ideas for any other like book suggestions to read together, and just like, how should we do book club? Because I think there's a couple ways that we could do it. I think we could like read the book separately and then come together to talk about it, like, a book club would, like a book club in reality, in real life, not just online. And like, do we want to do chapter by chapter? Do we want to do full books? Do we want to so I would just love to hear y'all's thoughts on how we might want to do a book club. Some of my ideas for books that we can read that are relevant to BTS are, of course, Damien, the inspiration for much of Wings, The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, which is heavily referenced in Spring Day, The Little Prince, which has a lot of themes that are relevant to BTS's work and is used a ton in the visuals for the song Moon, Into the Magic Shop, which is what brought us the Magic Shop concept of the song. Various works of Carl Jung, which of course inspired, Map of the Soul as an album series. Then kind of in a similar vein, there's the book Map of the Soul 7, The World of Persona, Shadow, and Ego in the World of BTS, which was written by a Jungian scholar and discusses Mot 7. And then, of course, there's BTS's own book, Beyond the Story. So those were some of my ideas that are like things that are very specific to BTS. But I mean, we even have books that are just like tangentially related to BTS, or like Hitchhiker Hobbit just said, books that Namjoon has recommended. There's like very Korean books that we could read. So I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this idea and this concept. I know that this probably won't be a concept that like everybody's interested in, and this definitely won't replace like regular videos or regular live streams or anything. This is just something I'd like to do to supplement, because there's a lot if you've ever read Damien or The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, or like, anything by Carl Jung or anything like that, there's so much to explore in the books. And I think doing like a sort of book club style thing would be a really fun way to be able to dig into all of those concepts and books in a way that, like, and I mean, like, I could make videos of these books as well, like, so I would just, I'm flexible, and I'd love to make this like as fun and accessible for everybody as possible, and do as much information as possible as well. So if you have any other suggestions for that, please let me know. Whether, if you have anything that comes to mind now, or like I said, later, feel free to drop it in the comments. Let me know on Discord, send me a message on Discord, leave it in the community section of my channel. Just like anything that comes to your mind, please do let me know. Almond's another good one. Yes, absolutely. Because not only did we see them reading that a lot during the first In the Soup, but a lot of that concept and thinking about that concept inspired Jungi's Song Amygdala. Another concept that I'd love your guys' opinion on is one of my upcoming scripts and ideas. So all of these are not necessarily scripts that have been started yet. Some of them are just ideas, but a lot of these do have scripts at least started. So part of what I'm also going to be looking at video-wise is going to be the theme of apocalypses and dystopias, which is something that I've mentioned in previous live streams. The idea of the apocalypse, or like a post-dystopian society, comes up a lot in BTS's music videos, believe it or not. And so I really want to analyze that theme. I'm skipping Power of Purple for now because I'll explain that in a minute, but I also want to do a video about love yourself, like as a concept, not just as BTS's albums, and what makes their work with that concept so unique. You all, if you've been watching me for a while, I love Walian 52. I'd love to do a video about Walian, and I'd love to do a video analyzing Boy With Love, because I feel like there's a lot of hidden depth in Boy With Love that doesn't always get analyzed. So these are like some of the topics that jump out at me most readily that I'd really like to dive into this year. And then for the Power of Purple, I would like that video to be about BTS and ARMY's relationship, which is something we've discussed in previous live streams as well. So definitely would like to dive into that with you guys. Oh, Metaloop, that's great. And I think, like, I'm a huge audiobook fan. I know Hitchhiker Hobbit and I have talked a lot about like audiobooks. Like, I know a couple live streams ago I recommended the audiobook for Damien. And just like I have the audiobook for BTS's book Beyond the Story. I have the audiobook for The World of Persona, Shadow and Ego in the World of BTS. So, I actually have the audiobook for Into the Magic Shop as well. I just haven't read it yet or listened to it. So, I mean, I do audiobooks all the time with, like, I'm exercising, if I'm getting ready for work, and, stuff like that. So definitely highly recommend that if that's something that, you're like, hey, maybe maybe I'll do something like kind of, if it's out of your norm to listen to an audiobook, it's kind of fun, it's like kind of a fun thing to start. And like you said, it's great to do while you're like doing housework or anything else. Yeah, I agree, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I mean, like, I know that nothing beats like sitting on your sofa or something, or in a nice, comfortable chair with a book, and actually physically have a book in your hand. But for me, it's like, I just want to be in story. I just want to be absorbed in story and somebody's writing. And if I do that in audio form, I'm down for that. It's like, I love me a good audiobook. And I'm really happy to hear that you all are excited about like some of the video concepts and stuff too. I'm really excited about them as well. I have so many ideas. One of these days, I'll show y'all my. I don't know if you all have heard of the website Trello, but it's like you can organize things into lists basically. And my video related Trello for this channel is crazy. I have so many video ideas, but these are some of the ones that really excite me for this year, just out of that huge amount of video ideas. So let's talk about Power of Purple. So basically, I think I've mentioned this on a previous live stream. A few years back, I wrote a blog post for my personal blog talking about the uniqueness of BTS's relationship with ARMY and how unique that is, and how the love that BTS and ARMY share are a unique thing. And so this is a big topic, and I'd be very interested in hearing your guys' opinions on how I should maybe approach it, because I know that I want to pull some of my original blog post out and transform it into a script. In that original post, I discussed where purple as BTS's signature color comes from, how Borhe got started, and I discuss the unique, like, platonic self-sacrificing love that we share, BTS and ARMY share with each other. So I definitely want to adapt those elements of that previous blog post into a script talking about it. But I would also kind of like to try and do this before BTS's comeback, because not only do I think it's going to be really relevant to the concept of Arirang, but I think it's important to talk about like BTS's history and like where our identities as ARMY come from, and like what we share with BTS and why it's unique. So I would love to try and do that before their comeback. So that also raises the question of, how should I do this? Should it be like a video? Should it be a live stream? Should it be both? Is there something else that I can do that would, kind of like bring this topic to a wider audience? Should I keep it general? Should I pull stories? Like, should I take stories from people? Like, be like, hey, tell me your ARMY experience. Like, I would just love, when discussing the idea of like why BTS and ARMY are unique and why our love is unique and why it's special, like what you guys would really be looking for from that type of concept and what you would be hoping to see. Yeah, so I mean, and a live stream is definitely like, we could talk and share stories more. Like I could do a video and have it be like an adaptation of that blog post that I wrote, and kind of get into the history of purple and like that whole thing, and I could have that be a video, and then we could like really get into like our personal stories in the live streams would be, an option too. Oh, Hitchhiker Hobbit. That's a really good thought too. Like looking into like the ARMY songs, like the songs that ARMY's made for BTS. I didn't even think of that. And like are also like BTS's fan songs for us, like the songs that like let's say 2-3 and Magic Shop and like things like that, just like the songs that they've made specifically for us. Thank you, AK. I think this also, kind of discussing how I should do this topic, also it kind of raises the point of like, if there's anything else that I could be doing before their comeback. So if you have any thoughts about that too, I'd love to hear that as well. Yes, Hitchhiker Hobbit, that's definitely a big one for me as well. Songs that, like, if you listen to them at first, you think it's a love song, but it's for ARMY. Moon is a great example, and, we were just talking about Boy with Love as well. I think Boy with Love is one of the best examples I can think of as well, That's not, it sounds like a love song, but it's for ARMY, and that makes it unique, and that makes it different, and I'd love to get into that and unpack that. Yeah, I like the idea that I would be able to kind of analyze some songs that maybe I wouldn't otherwise be able to analyze super in depth by like doing like including that in the Power of Purple of just like, hey, here are these songs that they made for us, and, you know, and like why these are unique and being able to analyze where they come from. That would be a lot of fun. The only like that would be interesting too because I've seen people like I don't know if there's ever really like an official list of like these are the songs that are designated as fan songs for Army. Like there's no official list like that. I would almost have to leave that up to like interpretation. Hitchhiker Habit, I actually have not seen their Boy with Love video, but I would really like to, especially because like their video for Arirang was so good. I'd love to see like their analysis on Boy with Love. There's actually, I mean, I love Boy with Love, and I know a lot of people kind of think you know, it's very poppy. It has like a very mainstream pop sound, but I think when you unpack it, when you don't just stop at like the very colorful nature of it, and you don't just stop at like, oh, it's like this very bubblegum pop, there's so much in Boy with Love. It's the Greek mythology references when it comes to Icarus. It's the Singing in the Rain reference in the music video. It's the lyrics of like wanting to come down to Army's level. Like, I don't want to fly high. I want to be on your level. It's the fact that it's the redo of Boy in Love. You know, it's just like, there's so much to unpack that I just, you know, I love it. I just want to sink my teeth into that and just really get into the theorizing. There's also, and it's funny you mentioned that, because in the book that I mentioned, where the Jungian scholar is talking about Map of the Soul 7, he also talks about that, you know, like the fact that, oh, it's like a female American artist doing this other part with them, and how that is like very Jungian of like the opposite version of yourself, like, you know, the anima to the animus. And it's just like, there's so much to unpack in Boy with Love that is just like, oh, it makes me so excited. Like, exactly, AK, exactly. I love it. Yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I've always seen their videos, and it's one of those that I'm like, oh, I should watch that and get that analysis, and then I never get back to it. So I definitely will want to check out some more of their videos because it seems like they do some really really good ones. Uh, so another question that I had for you all as well is live stream ideas. So um, there's just a few, like we've talked about doing BU theories. I know that's one that we talked about, like when I did my previous live stream back in like November or whatever it was, where I talked about like kind of started to dive into the BU with everybody, and we didn't even really get to talk about theories. So it's like we could talk about theories. I know we had said that at the time that maybe we'd want to do a whole separate live stream for that. I personally would love kind of talking about the Love Yourself concept and stuff. I'd love to do a deep dive into that with everybody, both like the albums and the concept, kind of like I did for Wings and for Map of the Soul. And then I'm sure we'll have a lot of pre-comeback theories about what the album's going to be like. And we've talked in previous live streams about wanting to do bingo cards. And then I thought we'd want to do a post comeback analysis after the albums come out. We've had a little time to process. I'm sure we'll want to talk about it. We'll want to analyze our bingo cards and see what we got right or wrong. And so I was curious, obviously, like the pre-comeback theories we can do right before the album comes out, and the post-comeback theories we can do shortly after the album is released. But I would be curious if there's any other like live streams that you'd love to see before the comeback, if you'd love to see anything like, you know, quicker, you know, like sooner or later. So let me know your thoughts on that too. Hello, Butterfly Young. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. And don't worry, the live will go up on the channel so you can catch up on anything that you missed. Don't even worry about it. Oops, sorry. I keep hitting things today. Keep making so much noise today. I apologize. And also, if you all have any other ideas that you're like, I'd really love to see you do a live stream about this or that, let me know, because I'll add it to the list. Thank you, Don't Feed the Bears. I'm glad that you would enjoy any of these. Yes, Hitchhiker Hobbit, I would love to dive into BTS and self-love and what BTS's version of self-love looks like, because it's so different than a lot of other things that you tend to see. So yes, I think we'll have a lot of fun with the bingo card concept. So to that end, actually, while we're on the subject of the bingo cards, I made just like a bingo card template for everybody. Like, you can easily just like go on to Google or whatever and type in like bingo card template or blank bingo card or anything. You could make your own, there's plenty of ways. But if you want to use my template, if you want to like take a screenshot and use that, you're more than welcome to. But I think it would be a lot of fun if we each made our own bingo cards about what we think is going to happen in the comeback or what we want to have happen in the comeback. I'll give you a brief preview of mine. Here's mine. And just things that I would like to see in the upcoming album, and things, kind of a combination of what I want to have happen and what I think will happen. And I threw in some themes. I threw in some ideas that I think will be in there. And we can go over this whole card when we get a little bit closer to comeback time, and I can unpack any of these things with you all. But, I think it would be fun if we all did our own little versions of a bingo card, and then we got to compare them and see how we did. The other thing that I really want to ask you all about, it's something that I've been thinking about a lot. So like, there's up on the bingo card. Is that a Hitchhiker comment? Was there something that you saw on the bingo card that you wanted to mention? My bingo card? Or a different slide? AK, no, not at all. Just the fact that you're here and interested in hearing the discussion, that's proof that you're not horrible at theorizing. Even if you don't ever make a theory yourself, the fact that you're just here and want to talk about it, that's more than enough. Yeah, that's an interesting thought, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I wasn't sure if they would do solo songs. And when they said 14 tracks, I was like, okay, that maybe confirms it, because 14 tracks is how many we have on Map of the Soul 7. So I was like, that would maybe make sense. I'm thinking, my thought is it'll be very much like Map of the Soul 7 in terms of structure. But I agree. Seven group song. I mean, we need 100 group songs. I like it. Just your bingo card. Crown. It's all crowns. And I mean, they did say in that most recent live that they wrote so very many songs. So we'll see. I don't know. I think I would be okay with either, honestly. Like, I would love solo songs, but also if it was just OT7 all the way, and like you said, maybe a vocal line, rap line song, I'd be okay with that too. I'd be okay with it. For me, more than anything, I'm not picky in terms of how this album is going to sound. I'm not picky in terms of how this album is structured. I just want it to be lyrically deep. I want it to be like emotionally resonant. I want it to be, and I just, that's why I love the title of Arirang, because that to me gave me a little bit of like, I love the idea that this would be very like Korean and true to them. So it's like, that's what I want the most, more than anything. Oh, I like that. Like a yet to come continuation. That would be very cool. I included that mostly because of my little pet crazy tinfoil Spring Day Part 2 theory, but I feel like there's a lot of other songs that it could work with. Just to do another part. And I know they were kind of joking about that in the most recent live stream, where they're like, we are Bulletproof Part 4, Airplane Part 3. Like, I know they're being silly, but I just feel like a continuation of an older song would work. There's so many different ways it could work. Yes, Hitchhiker Hobbit, that's so what I agree with. I want it to be them from their hearts. Yeah. Yes, and that's it's funny because I actually made this bingo card pretty much in its entirety before they announced that it was going to be called Arirang, and I was like, okay, I'm liking what I'm seeing. My bingo card might still be, I might be doing good on bingo here. So Might be doing well, but we'll see. And I think it would be, just like whatever, the rest of, like, if you want to participate in, like, and do your own little bingo card, put your own guesses as well. I think that'd be so fun, right? They're clowning us. We're back. We're living again. But yeah, so I'd also love to hear your guys' thoughts if there's anything else. I mean, I'm a very, very small channel, there's not much that I can do or contribute to the narrative, or, I'm not going to be like a huge source of information. But if there's anything else that you guys think that I can do that would be relevant, especially before comeback time, to maybe help newer ARMY, or to, explain things or get excitement up for certain concepts, please let me know. I'm a little bit social media phobic. So, like, you don't really see me, excuse me, you don't really see me on Twitter much. I don't have an Instagram. I don't have a TikTok. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that I'm just like, I probably wouldn't be able to do. But if there are ways that I could reach more people for the sake of, like, just helping them, like, learn, different BTS concepts and stuff, I'd like, should I do YouTube shorts? Like, should I do that? Should I try that? To try and do short form content that explains BTS things. Like, I would just love to, hear your thoughts of, especially as you guys move through ARMY spaces, is there anything that you're noticing that maybe newer ARMYs don't know that you're like, gee, I really wish that they knew XYZ, or, anything that you think I can teach people? I don't know. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Thank you, Hitchhiker Hobbit. That's really nice. And same thing, Don't Feed the Bears. Thank you. I'll try. I'll try and be confident. That's how I am. Don't Feed the Bears. There's just such an impersonalness to social media, which is part of why I like what we've developed here on my channel, because I feel like we get to have better, like, person to person discussions, whereas, like, with social media, I just think it just turns into, like, people yelling at each other for no legitimate reason and not listening to each other. Like, yeah, with me, so, like, obviously I love whenever new people find the channel and want to come and theorize BTS stuff with us. That makes me really excited. But for me, the idea is never about, like, growth. If anything, like, I don't want to, this kind of sounds weird because most people want to scale their channel, but, like, I don't want to scale my channel too much and then lose what makes the community special, because I like that we're, like, a small, diverse community of people who can, like, really connect with each other. And I don't want to get lost in the noise. And like, I don't want to start, like, cultivating a community that isn't comfortable for us anymore. You know what I mean? So I would love to be able to reach more ARMY to, like, help them learn things about BTS, or learn about older songs or themes or anything like that. But, I also want to balance that with, like, do I keep everybody comfortable and safe? Yeah, I agree, Hitchhiker Hobbit, that it's like YouTube and Discord and like the community that we've built here very much feel like we're talking on a personal level, and I don't ever want to, like, lose the comfortableness of that. So yeah, so I mean, I don't know if I should just kind of keep doing what I'm doing, and just, if people find it, great, and if they don't, that's fine. I've also thought about making, and there's literally, like, no other description that I can think of to describe this other than the word workbook, which does not work for what I'm thinking of. But, like, should I put together, like, when we did, when we were talking about the BU, and, like, I did all those graphics for the BU and things like that, I could easily put those together into, like, a PDF file, or something, and it's just, like, something that people could, like look at and use, and almost, like, again, not the right term, but, like, a study guide. And I'm like, should I do those? Like, I would just love to, like, expand my analysis, and, like, reach people who are interested in analyzing things without necessarily, like, doing it for the sake of growth. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah, that's a good point, Hitcher Hobbit. I mean, like, literally, I would even be thinking of, like, how to analyzing this BTS concept or music video in 60 seconds, like that type of thing. Oh, good to know, Butterfly Young. Okay, that's good to know. I was like, would anybody even care if I, like, put together a thing? Like, does anybody want that? Like, but that would be awesome. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be doing, because, like, I don't even know what else I would do, like, short form wise. You know what I mean? It would definitely just be like, here's a concept in 60 seconds type of thing. I don't know. I don't know. Hello to the new person who just came in. So, this channel is the Army Theorist Corner. My name is Rachel, and I am an Army who just really, really loves to theorize about BTS. I love to find different themes to analyze. I love to go and do, like, music video analysis. Like, I've done analysis on, like, the music video for On. I've done analysis on songs like Pied Piper and Dionysus, and I just, love to dig deep into the background of those things. This live stream right now that you're in is just me catching up with my awesome community. This is the first live stream that I've done in 2026 because I took a little break at the end of the year for Christmas and New Year's. And so now we're just chatting. I'm getting everybody's opinion on what they'd like to see from my channel moving through the year, especially as we're getting, like, a new BTS album and things like that. And, so we were talking a little bit about the album, and we're talking a little bit about what my community would like to see from me and my videos moving forward in 2026. So. Oh, that's really great. Yeah, I love that, Butterfly Young. That's awesome. I will definitely keep that in mind because that's a really good point of, like, being something that other armies can, like, use to translate into their language so even more people can see them. I love that. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. I hope you enjoy what we do here in this community and on this channel. I have a lot of fun. I know my video output's pretty small. I was just joking about that at the beginning of this stream. I unfortunately, with, like, just these videos do take a lot of time to, like, research and put together, and I'm an amateur, and with my day job and things like that, I don't always have the best output, but I do my best, and I always have a lot of fun analyzing things with people here in live stream and in videos. So I hope you enjoy, and maybe, like, if you want to catch up on the videos or previous live streams I've done, I hope you have fun. Thank you for being here. But yeah, so anyway, those were my thoughts for 2026 and what I would love to do with the channel this year. And if you all have any ideas, if you're like, hey, I really think we should focus on this before the comeback, or I really want to see more of this before their new album, like, let me know, because I would love to focus, on some of that stuff. Yeah, that's the nice thing. That's why I like having the streams as an option, because it's much, I don't want to say easier, but it's much faster to put together a live stream and put together, like, the things that we want to talk about in a live stream, as opposed to, like, a video. It's writing and editing the script, and then it's recording it and editing the audio, and all of it's so much fun. Like, I love doing it, but it's definitely time consuming, and especially, like, if you're working on a video that doesn't have a music video attached to it, and you can't just use music video clips, you have to use, like, other live performance clips and stuff. Like, the video that I'm working on right now, which is the one that I'm hoping to get you guys sooner rather than later, is my video that's gonna be, like, the welcome home video for our Macnays, and that's really hard because I'm talking about their solo songs in BTS's albums, and obviously there's kind of music videos when you look at, like, Euphoria, Singularity, and Serendipity, but, like, otherwise, a little bit of the Wings short films, kind of, but otherwise there's not, like, a lot I can draw from music video wise, and so it's, like, a lot of performances and other clips, and it's, like, oh my gosh, especially when we get to like the songs in Map of the Soul, when I'm talking about My Time, Filter, and Inner Child, and I'm just like, I have no clips to use. It's just anything I can find online. So like that can be very time consuming of just like finding clips and things like that. So, but I love the process. I enjoy it so much. So I just, wish I could do it a little faster. But yeah, so those are my plans. Those are my thoughts. So just let me know if you had anything else that came to mind. Like if you're thinking about it throughout the day to day or something, and you want to leave me a comment, let me know as well. And yes, Hitchhiker Hobbit, copyright. Trying to get around copyright is, you all remember my struggle with the Dionysus video for just that reason of like trying to find clips that I could use that weren't going to be copyright flagged, and it's so frustrating. But yeah, so that about does it for me today. I'm so glad I got to see you all again here in a live stream after a little break for the holidays and everything. So like I said, hopefully new video coming very soon. My next live stream I think is going to be February 1st. I'm not sure yet what the topic for that will be, because I don't know if it will be coming around Valentine's Day. So I don't know, like, should we do Love Yourself? And kind of have Love Yourself be our counterpoint for like a very romantic holiday, or should we talk more about like the BU? So like, I'm not sure what the topic of that one will be yet, but that's what I'm thinking. Our next one will be February 1st. Yes, Butterfly or Young, right? There's so much symbolism in those stages, and it's just a matter of like finding a good video to use for those clips. So this video has definitely been, a clip scavenger hunt. Let's put it that way, a clip scavenger hunt. But I think it's coming along really nice. I hope you guys enjoy it when it comes out. So I'll keep you all posted with when that's going to come out. And I will keep you posted with the live stream. For now, let's assume that it's going to be February 1st, which is another Sunday. And then if that changes for any reason, I'll let you know. I just need to come up with what I want the topic to be, because I have a couple of different ideas. So, and let me know all your thoughts and feelings on that as well. And for anybody on my Discord server, I'll of course see you on Discord. So yes, my hope is to go to one of the concerts. I live in Florida, and they are coming to Tampa. So that's only about an hour and a half away from me. So my hope is that I can see them in Tampa. And I'm very, very excited for the album. I'm very much looking forward to it. If you watch this video, this live will go up on the channel as like a, kind of a watch again type of thing, like a delayed watch. And we spent some time earlier in the stream talking a lot about Arirang as a concept and what we're hoping for from the album. So definitely check that out. So I'm gonna start wrapping it up for today, but thank you all so much for being here, and for hanging out with me, giving me your thoughts about what's gonna be on the channel in 2026, and for talking about the album in general. I had a lot of fun with you all today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Like I said, if you're on Discord, I'll see you on Discord. If not, drop me any comments in the comment section of this video or community section of my channel. I'm always happy to hear from you all. And I hope you all had as much fun today as I did. Oh, that's a good idea, Hitchhiker Hobbit. Yeah, if not London, Paris. Very good idea. Yes, I'm sorry to cut the live stream off when you've only just got here. I am so sorry, but thank you so much for stopping by and for being interested in what the channel means and represents. I hope I'll see you at the next live stream. We always have a lot of fun here with them. Such a cute community, and we have so much fun together. So thank you. Yes, first live stream of 2026. I'm glad you all enjoyed, and I'll see you again very, very soon. So yeah, thank you for being here and making it a special live stream. I enjoyed it. Can't wait to see you guys again. So thank you as always for hanging out with me. Alrighty. Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me, and good luck to if I don't talk to you between now and then, good luck this week with ticketing. I am thinking of all of you guys. It's a very exciting, stressful time. I'll be thinking about everybody. Bye, everybody. See ya.